the Deputy Governor of Anambra State, Dr. Okeke Obuzo, the gentleman himself, the representative of Executive Governor of Enugu State, the person of High Chief Osisoma himself, Chikobiribo. You're welcome. And the representative of the Executive Governor of Ebonyi State, I welcome you. Permit me to stand on the already established protocol, because I'm being told that I need to shorten my speech. My speech is very simple, so it looks. And I will try as much as I can, and as much as it looks simple, be able to come up with what we've actually faced in manufacturing sector, in our economy, that we all agree that it's very dynamic. I'm happy also that the governor is here. So most of the things we were able to say formally, this is another avenue to say them the way it is. Let me begin by thanking you all for honoring us with your presence. I appreciate this opportunity given to me by Manufacturers Association of Nigeria under the purview of Anambra, Enugu, and Ebonyi Branch, to make a speech on this important event, the 31st Annual General Meeting. My topic is strategies for staying afloat in a dynamic Nigerian economy. My experience for more than 25 years in manufacturing sector will agree with me that in couching this topic, a lot of tact and politeness must have been applied to communicate the difficult situation challenging the manufacturing sector in Nigeria. I would like to adopt the same civility in dissecting this topic, while at the same time be as practical as I've always been. Let us look at the word dynamic. According to Microsoft Encarta, it means to be characterized by vigorous activity and producing at the same time or undergoing change and development. For the Nigerian economy to be dynamic, it implies that the economic environment could be constantly evolving, undergoing changes that create situations that are subject or likened to inconsistency, such that planning could be quite difficult. Permit me to highlight some of the factors affecting our economic environment to enable me drive home this topic. If we don't look at what makes up our economic environment, it will be difficult to begin to tell you, I did this, I did this, I did this there. Because for everything you do at any point in time to sustain or support a business or manufacturing setting like ours, it must be a direct reaction to a situation or a scenario that is attacking the existential of that business. So if we don't look at what could constitute or could make up the dynamics of our economic environment, it may mean another story. But I want us to look at this from what it is. all know that the rate of economic growth of every given economy is determined by the annual percentage increase in real gross domestic product, GDP. And how best can we stimulate our economy? On which area should attention focus? What are the timelines within which to expect results, and so on? Today, our GDP is not growing at a speed that suggests that we are competing globally, because we're in global village. You have to compete. What about our consumption demand, which represents the demand for goods and services by individuals and households in a given economy? These consumption demands of individuals and households cumulatively form the national consumption demand, NCD. A close look at our NCD reveals that we are not getting it. We still import heavily. A country that still imports that much cannot isolate itself from dynamic economic environment. I'll connect the dots for you to see how the little things we do, including frying akara or roasting of corn, can be considered a very pivotal or important stimulator in a given economy. So I'll connect the dots. Let me also draw your attention to the recent agreement of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. You know, where oil is a major thing we export. So anytime you have international conspiracy or something that we don't have direct control over, it affects the smallest or minutest business anybody is having. It's very important we know that. Of course, we're all aware of what OPEC is all about and its Russia-led allies in terms of policy of slicing the oil, the production output to 1.2 million barrels per day with effect from January 2019 for an initial period of 6 months to show up what many expect to be weakening market fundamentals ahead. We all know that the viability of the economy of a nation like ours is largely dependent on the supply and exports of crude oil, which the nation is able to make based on approved quota. Meaning you don't produce it as it responds to demand or your capacity. It is still going to be based on the quota you're giving. And this is how we get our foreign earnings that everybody responds to. And that is actually what makes our economy. We will look at what makes it dynamic. We all know that the viability of, okay, I'm taking that, recall the impact of the reduction in price of crude oil in the global market on our economy. We call it recession. We all witnessed how it began to affect our import-export policy, the value of naira, and so on. Business community was not left out. A good number of businesses were affected, which consequently affected spending, underlying spending. But whatever you do, it is until somebody patronizes you on that, that is when you say you are in business. So if the spending power is low, as a result of whatever dynamics in the economy, once the spending power is low, it affects everybody. The one at hand is a treaty, the Economic Partnership Agreement, which is about to be concluded between the European Union and Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. This will create an open door, unrestricted access, free trade between member states, common markets, and so on. This will equally throw another kind of challenge that we have not seen before in manufacturing environment. Also is one about the African Union, which I'm sure you are aware, we had manned a council meeting yesterday. It concluded that we are going to sign, Nigeria is going to sign, and if Nigeria signs that, coupled with the one the European Union is pushing, you can now imagine what the business or manufacturing business will look like, where some of the basic infrastructure that is needed to compete globally is not at hand, and you're being exposed to global competition. Of course, these international influences constitute part of the dynamism of our Nigerian economy, where we, the captains of industries, particularly in the manufacturing sector, must operate and are expected to stay afloat. Every one of us in the manufacturing sector of this economy needs a heart of a lion. This is because, in addition to the external factors that plague business generally in the world, there are some challenges that are unique to the manufacturing sector in the economy. They can be classified as internal. One is funding. Funding has been a nightmare and is one of the sensitive challenges that we're facing. The high cost of funds arising from the depreciation of Naira. Let me not take that. This paper will get to you. I'm sure the secretary will circulate it, either soft copy or hard copy. What I intend to communicate here is challenge we face in sourcing funds for manufacturing. Whatever name you give it, so long as the cost of funds is not competing globally. If an Indian man can come here with a briefcase with money has borrowed with 3%, and you are getting to own at most 9%, you're already disadvantaged. It's as simple as that. What about the practices that has never changed? That is the excess bank charges, which have become a source of worry as banks indulge themselves in excessively charging fees under various guises. Transactions such as loans, money transfers, foreign trade, guarantees, and so on also come under imposition of such charges or such excessive charges. Most times, some of these arbitrary charges are not clear or transparent. Unfortunately, some of us in the manufacturing sector would be facing other challenges such that they may not have enough time to thoroughly check our bank statements or even give them the necessary interpretation they deserve. Hence, the charges may go unnoticed. Multiple taxation. The business community is confronted by numerous taxes and levies by the 3 tiers of the government. Some of the taxes and levies charged are questionable. In the case where they are genuine, many of them are duplicated. These duplicated taxes and levies also have significant cost implications on locally manufactured products. There is also incessant harassment which we, the manufacturers, receive from different categories of group of persons who have devised all manner of desperate methods, including shattering windscreen or side mirrors of operational vehicles, seizure of vehicle appurtenances like spare tires, jacks, batteries, and so on, just to collect these tolls or levies they have allocated to themselves from our personal vehicles. When one is done with production processes and its rigors, to move produced goods from factory to distribution point becomes a huge challenge. Some of these taxes and levies are seemingly ridiculous and at the same time appear illogical. They vary and include mobile adverts, supply permit, parking permit, ground permit. In some states, there are going and coming permit, standing permit. My friend MC, who is coming from River State, when he was eulogizing our government, I was nodding my head in joy because in River State, there is standing permit, there is moving permit, there is breathing permit. And one funny thing is that these permits are not harmonized, that when you pay them to one group, you go home knowing that you paid. There are pockets of people that organize themselves into forces, mark my words, into forces. And you have to stay afloat. Some of these groups are already in alliance with one another, interstate too, with a common goal that even the government cannot stop them. I took it upon myself some time ago, 2-3 years ago, went to government, tried to kind of communicate what we are seeing, because I can only liken what is happening to, I don't know the particular place in the Bible where we are told that if you want to chase out a demon, it will take a demon. And when you invoke a demon to chase out a demon, be ready to also face the demon that is chasing out a demon. Thank you. I like that. Let me be very practical. I heard of this verse first when the Bakassi boys were working, and some enlightened minds were questioning, how come a church will engage Bakassi with the Omor to guide them? And somebody came up with a verse in the Bible that if there is so much iniquity in the land, that it will take in the victor's move to cleanse it. Yes. It's in the Bible. So, something we faced, all of us faced it, where you pay a permit to Anambra State. You want to be a good citizen. You want to be seen as a good citizen. After paying all that is required, cross Niger Bridge, you will see a different set of people, or I want to call them forces, because you dare not even try to bring out what you paid in Anambra State to them. They will break your head to start with. And when you interface with them, you must pay for that state. And when you cross Delta to Edo, you see another fierce-looking people. You must pay them. As you move to next state, so it is. And some clever people, I want to say it the way it is. I pleaded with you that I will be as practical as I will always be. Some clever people saw an opportunity and galvanized themselves into an association and call it ex-service men. Wow. What do? They have an umbrella whereby they now evoke a force that will go to all those points that disturb you and coerce them into understanding that what they are doing is duplication of taxes. And as such, if you pay them, they will now use their own force or forces to give you clearance of the states. I hope I'm saying what you've experienced. I hope we're all seeing this. What have they done? They have used their force to stop those towns that we are operating state by state. And now, suddenly, some state government woke up, say, hey, who are you? Who are you collecting this money for? Are you a tax collector? Which government? A few days ago, Cross River State government warned them. There's a court judgment at the moment that they are not operating in River State. How do I know? As I was coming here yesterday, I made a stopover into one of our plants, and I heard unusual noise that attracted my attention. I went in. It happened that NPR was going on, we call it Monday Performance Review, and a particular manager was shouting on top of his voice that a manager that was operating in Cross River State must refund the money he spent because he has given him national clearance from the ex-service men. Unknown to him, the Krisoral state government has won that body in the court and has resumed collection of their taxes. And he was raging, shouting, saying, "You must return this money, you're a thief, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that." And I walked in, said, "What is going on?" And they narrated this. And the manager quickly googled the judgment, and we saw it. Which means, if you have your clearance from ex-servicemen and you intend to operate in Cross River State, it is no longer possible. You must pay them. But then, let's look at it again. If Cross River State government resumes collection of these taxes, Imo states take them to court, win them, and all states take them to court, win them. Can you now see what we mean by duplication of taxation? Because anybody who is not manufacturing will not appreciate this. At times, it is even difficult to explain. Assuming I'm with Deputy Governor now in a very light mood, you ask me, please explain this thing you call duplication of taxes. You may find it difficult to draw facts handy that will enable you to communicate convincingly. Now, the situation at hand is that if every state government begins to collect their own, it is going to be that after 6 days of regulation, we'll be collecting these taxes from manufacturers. I'm happy that our deputy governor is here. We are recommending that there should be harmonization. Manufacturers are ever willing to pay tax. Ever willing. Anybody that left the open market and come to a corner of a street and put vulcanizer business is ready to comply with the government. The only shield businessmen always enjoy is being in the open market, let alone a manufacturer who has gotten his licenses to go into manufacturing. We are ready to pay taxes. Let there be harmonization, whereby if I decide to pay in Anambra State, just the way it is in vehicle licensing. If I decide to pay in Anambra State or any state, let it cover me or other states. For want of time, that is one thing I must touch. That is number 3, infrastructural facilities. In manufacturing, 99.9% is not good enough and cannot be good enough where 100% is required. For us to compete globally, energy should not be compromised. Electricity is one of the essential requirements in manufacturing processes. Unfortunately, lack of access to uninterrupted power supply remains one of our greatest challenges. Until we get power uninterrupted, no matter the kind of treaty we are signing with anybody, we don't stand on the advantageous footing. Give us energy. Whatever anybody is doing in China, ask manufacturers to match it. We are ready. Look at a situation where, of course, you must run. You have to go for alternative power supply. And the use of alternative power supply, such as diesel-generated engines, increases the operating cost by a magnitude which discourages manufacturing. The ever-changing prices of petroleum products, which are the drivers of these alternatives available to us, do not allow any competitive product pricing. If you don't consider cost in pricing your product, you cannot remain afloat. And for you to consider cost, all the factors, all the cost elements necessary for input in your production processes must be considered. And that is why I said that if 100% is required, 99.9% can never be good. We need energy. The products, okay, I'm taking that. I now go to Krisoral Group. What have we done? In the face of all these challenges to remain afloat. I said earlier that whoever that couched this program is a very careful person, because staying afloat does not connote success. I'm sure you know that. Yeah. Manufacturers need to succeed. We are just staying afloat. Krisoral Group of Companies is a holding company for our 7 subsidiaries that are purely into manufacturing, with a business model of backward integration, which I'm sure most of us who understand backward integration will agree with me that is one area, one model everybody tends to run away from. Because if you are running a backward integration process, you don't have night, you don't have day. You don't have night, you don't have day. And there I give special thanks to my wife for supporting me to be able to drive the kind of operation and processes we've been able to sustain in Krisoral Group. Krisoral Group has a vision, and the vision is to provide a wide range of cost-effective and quality products that will respond to market needs and deliver stakeholders' values. A tall order. The mission of the organization is to seek to establish viable enterprises that will be national leaders in any sector of Nigerian economy we choose to venture. And to drive this, we have core values. The core values of the organization is speed. Speed. In our system, if you are sluggish and cause any damage, your immediate manager may subject you to pay for it. If you are fast and damage something, your immediate manager will take you on handheld coaching on precision. But that's the only thing you're missing. Precision. Of course, you know that in today's businesses, it is no longer the big that swallows the small. It is the fast that will take the slow. Speed. Teamwork. To run our kind of organization, whatever it will take to promote teamwork, we don't compromise it. At times, it will take myself removing the garment of chairman. If you've got a brilliant idea and communicate such idea in such a way that ordinarily one will be thinking that you're lacking decorum, that expectation of decorum to be kept aside, because teamwork must be promoted as our core value. Commitment. Commitment is one of the things that a story is handy about commitment. In 2012, we commissioned the first indigenous roll-over paper-proof caps in Nigeria by the then President of Nigeria, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, on the 30th of August 2012. Exactly 15 days after the commissioning, the entire area was submerged. Remember the flood of 2012. Already, people set out to be coming for condolences to me, and I laughed. 3 of our factories were submerged: liquid and large chemical, Eastern Distilleries, and KRC. One morning. I'm on commitment, and it's good to hear this. Those of you who are in the Harbour Industrial Layout will understand what I'm saying. Akudo is here. Akudo personally came, and we rode on the boat to be able to assess the plant. And he shook his head and asked me to begin to remove things. And I told him, where do we remove them to? There are too many. He said, go to my, and he gave us a key to his warehouse. Move these things. But what we are moving out are raw materials, not machineries. Something happened. We gathered ourselves and said, we cannot allow the plant that just commissioned 15 days ago to go like that. Yes, insurance will come. I will tell you what we did, because till today, people are calling me, and I'm going to understand, man, if you do something that you don't understand, it's a magic. Anything he does not understand how you did is a magic. People are still calling me, how come you have 6 feet floors outside and inside was dry? What did you do? What we did was under commitment. We gathered ourselves and got planks, padded planks together. One 12 inches by 3 feet first. Pad them together. Put nylon under it. Put 3 heavy stones under the nylon. Press the plank on the gate and begin to cast raw cement inside. As we are casting the raw cement, the plank get to burst. You see some people, one of them is in this hall, a lady. Some people will dive into that pool of water to go and nail those planks together. And when you nail them together, the person will stand there with heavy object and casting is going on. As the casting continues, once it's set, you do another level. And what do? After that, we position about 20 pumps right around the premise. And these 20 pumps were pumping simultaneously. Any point we notice any leakage, we go there and reinforce casting. And as the flood was rising, we keep adding the coach of the embankment. And we have to pump out all the water inside the premise. Then begin to contend with the natural rainfall. And that was how we were able to. It get to a point where the number of staffs in Krisoral were not enough for this operation in three sites. There is an association called Anambra Youth Association. I happen to be their patron. They announced all their members, including those outside the state, and they all moved to our plant and join us day and night. And the operation is not such that you say you're chairman at night, you go home. You know, we all sleep there. Let God come and take the part and let's see. And we did this from 20th of September to 15th of October. By then, the flood began to recede. Commitment. Discipline is another thing, and one of our core values that we don't compromise it. Discipline is doing that which you're supposed to do without telling stories, including delivering on our promises, including relating with one another. Is that on?
Yes, sir.
Including relating with one another, including delivering on our promises. Discipline is one key core value we cherish. Loyalty. Loyalty is one thing that, for want of time, is difficult to get in this environment. If you have loyal staff, please cherish them. do everything to keep them. Because loyalty is one, you don't enter anybody's heart. But in Krisoral Group, loyalty is one of our core values. In fact, it's one of the major centers for appraisal that we want to conduct appraisal. Loyalty is one major area we look at. How loyal are you to the cause? Okay? Integrity. In our kind of environment today, it's difficult to preach integrity because even between son and father, you see a son trying to be fraudulent around his father. Integrity. One of our core values. Quality. Quality of everything we do. There is another core value we have that maybe before we finish today, you tell me what it is in English language. That's what an Igbo man called Nka. Nka. I need to Nka. Nka. N-K-A. You can call it that. You can call it on several occasions. We're able to try to interpret or give Nka meaning in English language. I'll be willing to take it from you today if you give me an apt definition of Nka.
Ambidexterity.
Dexterity, eh?
Ambidexterity.
Ambidexterity, note it down. Ambidexterity. So we apply Nka in every, the way we say it. The way we say it, Nka no kono, Nka ni juku, Nka ni nanya, Nka ni no mume, Nko we netiere Nka ni ya, you see the gap. At any point in time, you fail to put the required Nka. Only one Nka fair, or man in Madivine. So in Krisoral Group, value Nka a lot. Then, organizational structure. To run a structured system is very costly, and is what we've done over the years. A structured system. Because I'm being told that His Excellency may want to leave very soon, I would like to sum up what I consider the strategies we've adopted over the years. I've talked about structure. Most manufacturers find it difficult because I was discussing with our former chairman yesterday, and he was telling me, can I imagine what it will mean going to bank, borrow 100 million, and begin to spread it around all the raw materials that are required for you to arrive at the end product. And you find out that at one point you see someone handling that which you spend money on as if it has no value. It takes a structured system to checkmate that. And in such structured system, let everybody be responsible. If you don't know what it takes to cause someone to be responsible, go and learn it. It's very important if you must run a structured system, which is necessary. Still further on strategies on staying afloat, that is our coinage on strategy. In Krisoral Group, we have a coinage that I want to share with you on strategy. You see, if you are asked to define strategy, you define it in a way that it will suit you, because most people don't want to be responsible. Whatever we call strategy must produce the desired results, because we will go extra mile, persevere to ensure that we achieve that which we set out to do. Otherwise, that which we call strategy will become a mere plan. In our lexicon, we agreed that plan may fail, but if we call it strategy, we'll go out all the way to make sure the desired result is delivered. And then next thing is leadership. Very, very essential. Very, very essential. Let me leave definition of leadership. We all know what it is. But let me tell you how we groom leaders. Because without grooming leaders, you cannot run our time organization. We groom leaders by first get a potential leader. For someone to be a leader, somebody must have adjudged him to have potential or tendencies of leading. Once you see that in a person, assign that person a task. Expose the person to the job analysis or details of what you want him to do. Ensure they understand it reasonably. Subject the person to interpret the role of the role he set out to do. Interpret it in such a way that they can communicate it to the next person. Cause him to see that he cannot do that job alone. Once he understands that he cannot do that job alone, begin to ask him, don't you think that you need someone to assist you? Once the person says yes, and you get someone to assist the person, automatically he has become a leader. Because by so doing, he has first owned the job. When he owns the job, the tendency or temptation of work passing or not wanting to be responsible is no longer there. So long as you can stand your ground and make sure that he understands the reason why he requested for the second person. If the job becomes too much for two, make them three. But make sure that someone is asking, I need more hands, I need more hands, I need 4 hands, I need 5 hands. By so doing, you create a pool of leaders that can effectively and adequately support, if you remember what I communicated to you as our goals. If you don't create leaders, you can't have people to drive our kind of operation. Leadership. Another thing we do in Krisoral Group is a grateful act. We thank you does not cost anything. When a thank you is coming from a leader, it goes a long way of making the person you're thanking know that you did not just engage him to pay him at the end of the day. We have a thank you attitude. If you have not developed it, it is time to begin to do so. Particularly if you are in manufacturing sector, where you know that you cannot do it alone. No manufacturer does that alone. Show empathy. If anything is happening to your team members or your subordinates, have a way of showing empathy. In Krisoral Group, I for one, those working closely with me, if you don't eat food, I won't eat food. And that is a known fact. You give me food and I notice that those working with me are not taking food. Forget it. I'll wait until everybody has what to eat. Empathy. I've taken grateful heart. I've taken unity. In conclusion, so that I will go. In conclusion, this paper will get to you. I have not taken opportunity and risk management. How we recognize opportunity, how we evaluate risk, how we mitigate risk. At any point in time, recognize opportunity. Look very closely. Beneath it is a risk. And if you don't know how to identify risk, you can't mitigate it. If you can't mitigate it, you can't even avoid it. So risk. In conclusion, manufacturing, as tough as it may look, remains the only way. Not alternative, remains the only way. Can you imagine if we all begin to engage in one form of manufacturing or the other, or even support support manufacturing. Over time, if we begin to produce what we eat to start with, over time, you begin to notice that you need your neighbor to exchange his or her value for what you produced. From there, it goes to nations. And if you are able to set your qualities right, it becomes global. I enjoy each and every one of you here not to be deterred by the challenges of our economy or the dynamics of our economy by going into manufacturing. Don't be deterred, go into manufacturing, support manufacturing, buy Nigerian manufactured goods. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I think we can do better now. Let's put our hands together for His Royal Highness. And that is Nka in English. Today we have learned a new word. And that is why it's always good to have veteran people. I'm sure you agree with me that it's in tall order to read the citation for no other than His Royal Highness Igwe Oranu Chidume, Eze Ana-Ukwu, Eze Igulube of Omor. That means to handle existing protocols as I quickly, for want of time, go to his citations. Igwe Oranu Chidume is the founder and chairman of Krisoral Group of Companies. Krisoral Group of Companies is a holding company for 4 subsidiaries that are into packaging, farming, food processing, and distilling. He has an MBA in Business Administration from Metropolitan School of Business and Management, United Kingdom. A postgraduate diploma, PhD in Business Administration from Enugu State University of Science and Technology, and a higher national diploma in business administration from Federal Polytechnic, Oko, here in Anambra State. Now, to keep himself abreast of the best management and leadership principles, he's over time attended management and leadership training and obtained the following certificates. Certificate in executive management from Lagos Business School with SBS Kenya in conjunction with IESE Barcelona, Spain. Certificate in efficient entrepreneurship from the Entrepreneurs and Business Resource Center in partnership with C-Level Enterprises. Certificate in effective leadership, accountability, ethics, and corporate governance from the University of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, United States of America. Certificate in business etiquette from Poise, Nigeria, in Lagos. Efficiency in company directorship from Institute of Directors, Nigeria, and Lagos Business School. Certificate in business decisions and speed reading from the Lagos Business School. Fellow, Institute of Loan and Risk Management, Nigeria. Member, Braden Conference of Mediation Advocates, Nigeria Branch. His Royal Highness Igwe Oranu Chidume is one of the foremost industrialists and a renowned entrepreneur with exceptional leadership skill and innovative creative abilities, following which he has received recognitions and awards, as well as appointments by several bodies. Amongst them are Certificate of Recognition as the Traditional Ruler of Omor Community in Anyamelum Local Government Area by the Government of Anambra State of Nigeria on December 12, 2017. Coronation as His Royal Highness Igwe Oranu by Omor Kingmakers on Wednesday, December 13, 2017. Royal Award by Anambra Ebonyi State Branch of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Philanthropist extraordinaire and business titan by the Anambra State Government. Award of Honor by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, Ambassador of Peace by the Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace, Nigeria Chapter, Distinguished Alumni Award by the Faculty of Management Science, Enugu State University of Science and Technology, Council Member, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, National, Chairman, Corporate Affairs and Strategic Planning Committee of the National Council of Man, First Vice Chairman, Anambra Ebonyi State Branch of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Member, Governing Board, Mwafo College of Education, Sudu. Member, Anambra State Elders Council. Member, Governing Council of National Institute of Construction Technology, Guru. And last but not the least, I'm sure that if I continue to mention his accolades, time will fail us. Fellows, Institute of Loan and Risk Management, Nigeria, on October 15, 2011. His Excellency, members of the High Table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure, therefore, to call on the MC to do the needful as we honor this great Iroko in our midst. Thank you very much.